Hello folks, well this is probably the last of our backlog sets, and this is a Gecol GT858. Same chassis, for those who don't know, as the Fidelity 1000. It's made in Taiwan by Great, and it's come in. It's an immaculate set, and the gentleman's got the box for it. Oh, it's pretty immaculate anyway. Got a fold in the front panel just there. But it's come in presenting as weird receiver. I spent a lot of time on the receiver, and we just weren't getting anywhere. And then suddenly the phase lock loop packed in. So I thought, you know what, if we've got to start changing the phase lock loop chip, and why did it pack in? You know, it's not like I've mishandled it and had static gloves all over it. Anyway, I think the best thing to do is to swap the chassis for the gentleman, put his front on it, and we've got a GT858 Gecol here. So there you go. So it won't quite be as immaculate on the back, but at least ours has a serial number, and I'll clean this up a little bit. And we're just going, what we'll do, this happens about 3 times a year, where we end up having to swap the chassis because it's just not getting anywhere. Hey, ours is 523, our serial number. So there you are. Anyway, that's what we'll do. Ours is full length power lead. His has got banana plugs on. We'll swap the banana plugs off, and he'll just be charged our service level 2, so he effectively gets a set for free, and we keep his as spares. So that's what we're going to do. So I did a video whilst I was working on this. It would have been nearly 4 hours. So such was what we did, and the explanations why we were doing what we were doing. And then I say the phase lock loop packed up, and I thought, you know what, I'm just not going to spend 60 quid on a set that most people wouldn't think much to. We'll put that on one side. We'll look at ours. And this is what he will end up with. We've got a Harrier CB come in. We've still got some new sets to optimise, which belongs to the trucking and farming gentleman in Leicestershire. I think there's another 5 of his to do. There's also a base station of his, an audio line 345. There's a lot of sets of my own that want doing. Right, I'll get this connected up, but I'm going to open it up first before we start going through what it does. But he was absolutely right. That other Gecol, the receive, is absolutely dire. We got it to about 3 microvolts, but no, we probably got, actually I think we got it to 1.2 microvolts, and that would be alright if it was a uniden, but it isn't a uniden. There's something not right, and you know, it's so immaculate it makes me wonder whether it ever worked properly. I'll get this speaker unsoldered. So it's 2021. And it's serial number 1500523. 1500523. So usual thing on these, anything over 2.7 watts is normal. They're not a 4 watt set, they're a 3.5 watt set, and actually a lot of sets are, they just don't tell you. So make sure it's we know it is. So it is change customer chassis for hours. It doesn't matter what I paid for hours, it still is the deal that he gets. You know, you win some, you lose some, all that kind of thing. Right, we want our test mic. So where did I put that? Oh, it's the one here that says great on it. Right, channel 20, let's get ourselves plugged into the test set. So I'm actually glad that the other one didn't end up with the customer, because it would have been very disappointing for him to get it back and the phase lock loop chip to fail, you know. These don't have an extension speaker socket, and that's one of the disappointments with them. Where the farm asked once, this was not me, but asked of a local supplier some years ago, some 25 years ago, that he wanted the cheapest CBs that he could get. And so he ended up with, it wasn't this, but it was another GT858. And I'm just trying to think, it could have been the Comtel GT858, and he wanted to use them in tractors, and he hadn't thought it through or asked the dealer, but of course none of them had extension speaker sockets. Well, there is only 1.5 watts audio output, so you can imagine they couldn't be heard. So next thing, all the sets came back, the dealer had to fit 3.5mm sockets for a fee, of course, quite rightly, and they had to have extension speakers. If they'd have paid a little bit more in the first place, they might have had more suitable speakers, more suitable radios with the extension speaker sockets. Right, this is probably going to be pretty spot on, because I know where it came from, and it's a trade working set. Right, are we ready? Picture in picture. Set that going on, and we want it on the main meter, which I'll set to the 3 watt scale. We're on channel 20, and it's doing milliwatts. Are we on low power? We are. 2.5 watts. So it's only 0.2 under the minimum acceptable. 2.5 watts on channel 1, it's 2.55 actually. And channel 40, 2.45. That's about what you'd expect. Low power, get back to channel 20. These have very good transmitted audio. 180 milliwatts. Back to full power, and our transmit current is 691 milliamps. Run that on your 1 amp power supply. Deviation on this test set, for what that's worth, better tune it in, we were doing CPT yesterday. Wallow. It says 2.7, but we take that with a pinch of salt. We don't do VCO because it's either locked or not locked. So although you'd do it if it was setting up, it's a matter of monitoring a pin of the phase lock loop chip in this can, and it's either on or off. So it's not like the voltage in a Cybernet 002 like used in the Amstrad, or the Cybernet 134 like used in the Rotels, or the Uniden sets, where there's a specific voltage which you're aiming at. It's not like that. It's on or off, because it uses a general purpose synthesizer, not something custom made for the UK market. Right, go back to power, and we'll just see where it is on frequency. 2779121. 2779121. So of course that should be 2779125. That makes it spot on. It will rise slightly as the radio warms up. So we won't be adjusting that, and it's the trimmer just there. I'll show you on his set. So once you've taken that lid off, it's the trimmer just there. Let's use the yellow tool, which is frequency, not to be confused with the one over there, which is VCO. So we'll put that frequency into the signal generator, which was on CPT yesterday, 2779125. There we go. That's right. Turn the volume up. Oh, we've got one of the connectors come out of the cyanide meter. Cyanide meter's moving all over the place. I think we need an earth. No, it's not that good actually. Funnily enough, it's about as bad as the one he sent in. So it's 2.3 microvolts. That's Cobra 29 territory. 0.51. No, it's not at all. It's 1.65. And 20, I don't expect it's going to do at all. No. Squelch use AM on these just to make things difficult. Has its own AM detector just to do the squelch. You can imagine they were used to doing AM sets, and when asked to do an FM one, decides to use AM squelch. It really doesn't matter. It just does have its own detector. Let's set squelch. It's not unsensitive. It's just the clarity's causing the dB to be low. Straight in at 0.3. If it'll receive beyond 0.3. So this figure's all noise. So back to an S9 signal. Let's see what the meter says for itself, and it says it's being a bit generous. It's being a lot generous. Actually, 1.67. It was 1.75 for 100 microvolts. On transmit. Let's go turn that off. On transmit. That sounds like the meter's sticking. It's reading 4, which is kind of about where it ought to be. Meter lamp works. The switches work. It doesn't have PA. Potentiometers work. That works. Let's look at transmit. Go back to the transmitter. And let's go through it. So we're starting off here. I might have the service info in front of me. I've got the service manual in front of me. I've got the sheet for his, you see here. We've got it down to 1 microvolt, but it just isn't right. So it was worse than this one. And he started exactly the same kind of power. Hopefully, well, this hasn't got this receive doesn't sound dodgy. Okay, so we want to have it above 2.7 watts and as close to, obviously as close as 4 as possible, but it won't be possible. So let's go into transmit. We're on channel 20. We're on the 3 watt scale, and our first point is there. Looking for the centre of the peak. That is the centre of the peak. second one is spot on. Third one is spot on. That one's spot on. That one is spot on. We want the hex kit. That's the one done with the spectrum analyzer. I'm just going to be very, very careful, just to make sure it hasn't been fiddled with by somebody. And this one is not supposed to have a core in, and it doesn't. So we're still left with 2.5 watts. I'll just have a look at coil placement. That's one thing which I've done. And the other thing, when you present with low power, this resistor can fail, and that doesn't look like the original resistor. So let's look at what that resistor is supposed to be and what's in there. If these have been on a bad SWR, chances are it pops that resistor or makes it change value. I mean, that looks like 1.5 ohms or 1.2 ohms. Let's see what the service manual says it should be. So this way on, it's resistor 63, I think. Let's have another look. No, resistor 65. We've got capacitor 73, resistor 65. Let's see what it's supposed to be if I can read the circuit. Very faint on this. Copy of a copy of a copy. I'll go and look at the computer. It's supposed to be, I think it says 0.47. I can't read it well enough, but if I blow this up on the computer screen, and the fact it's not being printed, it might just reveal what it is a bit better for me. It's not in the component schedule. I don't think they were expecting you to fix things to that level. So we'll pause the video, and I'll tell you what we'll do before we pause the video. Turn the power off. So I didn't bother going further into the transmitter on his one he sent in because there was such an issue with the receiver, so no point wasting your time. That's like people respraying an old car, an old car that will never pass its MOT, which is the annual test in the UK, and so spraying that car was a total waste of money when it was going to the scrapyard anyway. It's got all the screen plates on that, so it's good. It's good set. it's not being messed with. But I don't think that's original. Right, I'll go and look that up. Okay, so I've changed that resistor, and we're now just gone through the tuning again. We're now at 3.2 watts on channel 20, so that's fine with it being a 3.5 watt set. So don't be fobbed into thinking it's 4, because it isn't. It doesn't make any difference, really. So if you look now, if I go to the 3 watt scale, we've got more than 3 watt full scale deflection. If we go to the 30 watt scale, we're now at 3.2 watt. And channel 40 at 3.1 watt. And chances are it'll be 3.2. It is 3.1, so we're right in the middle. Low power will have altered. Let's see what low power is now doing. It's doing 220 milliwatts. And now we've got current consumption of 731 milliamps. So we've gained 0.7 of a watt, and yet we've only gone up 300 milliamps. No, 30 milliamps, haven't we? Yeah, 30 milliamps. So I'm going to have a quick look at the receipts before I take a break. Front end. Spot on. Spot on. Spot on. Actually, it's less spot on. That's it. I'll use the RS tool. Now we'll do the detector, which is the awkward one. So go to look at the oscilloscope. Let's have a look at that. That one which was out. That could well be now correct. I don't know. Right, I'm just going to take a break, but before I do that, I'm going to do the deviation. Wow, it's absolutely spot on. We're at 1 microvolt on at the moment on receive, so just see whether we can improve on that or whether that's what we're going to get. Right, I'll come back in a bit. Okay, so we're at 0.95 for 20 dB, for 12, 0.75 for 10 dB, and for 20 it's 2.7. It's not insensitive, it's noisy. Squelch. I'm not showing you the right meters, am I? What a wally. I may as well show you the attenuator. Turn the oscilloscope off. Squelch. So I want it to be opening 100 microvolts. It is doing, it was before, it is still. And while we're at 100 microvolts, make sure the meter says 100 microvolts. Just put the other glasses on so I can actually see what I'm doing. It's absolutely spot on with no intervention. This is meter if I remember rightly. And the one behind it is squelch. So deviation is there, but it's absolutely spot on. See what it says on this test set, just for giggles. Wow, it says it's 2.5, so that's not lying today. So it is 2.2 to 2.5. It's 2.2 to 2.5, and the frequency. Let's go to the frequency counter. Unless it's miles out, I won't be adjusting it. Oh, look at that! Just where it should be. 27,79126. The RF meter, when we key it up, we want it to be the centre of the red zone. Make a little adjustment on that. Centre of the red zone. So that's done, that's done. And the squelch sensitivity, let's put all that down to standby at 0.3 of a microvolt. Signal generator on, straight in at 0.3, which hasn't changed. So remember, this chassis is quite weird on receive, and they're not very selective. They should be alright in the country, but not in the town. Right, so we'll swap his front. disconnect all this, switch it off. I wouldn't do this for everybody, but he's a regular customer, and it gives him a nice set, or as nice a set as he's going to get. Whilst we've got the front off that meter, can sometimes stick. And these are the same meters, if I remember rightly, as are used in Uniden sets. I'll just open this up off camera. I'm going to have to recalibrate the meter now, because I put the meter out of its original set, which this one that I've taken out of this set can stick from time to time, so it's best off having the meter which is the better one. That's his front, and there's this fold which is unfortunate just there. You could do something about it. It's surely got to be a manufacturing error, that. Anyway, I mean, I think what I would do, if that was my front, is I'd put it through the dishwasher on the lowest possible temperature, like 30 degrees or something like that. And then when it comes straight out, we'll be using plastic tools to push the glue without marring the finish any worse. But I don't want to do that for him. In case it all goes wrong and he ends up with an even worse front. Right, recalibrate the meter. So, test set to 100 microvolts, and it's now pegging the needle. That's better. And on transmit, it's pegging the needle. So there we are, back to that being calibrated. Good. Right, all I've got to do is find his lids, and that's this goes back 2 months, this job, so that ain't as easy as you might think. It goes without saying his lids were exactly where they were supposed to be. So if any of you have never experienced a great chassis set, you'll find that it's they don't have a clever FM chip in them like normal UK CB radios. But the only one which is anywhere at all similar is the Communicator NI440DX from LCL, insofar as it not having a clever FM chip. Not in any other way. and so it sounds different. If your grandma ever had a 1950s radiogram which had VHF FM on it, they used the double diode detector method, and that's what these do. So tuning between stations is much more gentle than it is on a more conventional FM receiver. So what we're going to do is we're going to issue all brand new screws, and not just any, but the RS top quality ones. And there'll be another new set optimization, followed by a Harrier CBX the next day. There we go. What a smart looking set. And you hardly notice that front because the fold is covered by the knob. And we won't be able to do our test to extension speaker, will we, on this, because it doesn't have an extension speaker socket. Got some decent volume now. And take it off the signal generator. Oh, just see what it's receiving down. So it's alright, look at the cyanide. That's 0.3. I can hear it at 0.11. So that's your FM hiss, which isn't not quite the same as usual. There's the aerial. One Anna Roger. Good grief. Right, well there we go, the the Gecol GT858, great, from 1981. Thanks for watching.